But we begin with a Fox News alert in the world of politics. A short time ago, Hillary Clinton taking questions from reporters for the first time in almost a month. That's worth noting. And welcome to Happening Now. I'm John Scott.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna Lee. Just proof that a lot can change in an hour, which means it's a good thing that we're back, right? We have to continue to watch this story. Of course, Mrs. Clinton is back on the campaign trail, appearing in Iowa this afternoon, taking part in a discussion with small business leaders. And this comes as the New York Times today is reporting that Clinton sent unsubstantiated intel on Libya from a family ally to top State Department officials, an ally who was also being paid by the Clinton Foundation. The report also revealing that Clinton used more than one secret email account while Secretary of State, contradicting earlier statements. This as a judge rejects the State Department's just announced plan to wait until next January to release Clinton's emails. A big news day. Things suddenly changed. Our chief White House correspondent Ed Henry's live in Cedar Falls, Iowa, with more for us now. Ed?
Good to see you, Jenna. A lot to cover there. That advisor you were talking about, of course, Sidney Blumenthal, controversial advisor going back to the Clinton White House days. New York Times reporting on emails back and forth with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, where it appeared Sidney Blumenthal was passing on sensitive information about the situation in Libya. There's a lot of questions that Republicans have on Capitol Hill about why he had access to that information, why he was then sending it on her private email address. That raises questions, of course, about the security of that personal server, which was at her house. No one asked her about that. Interesting, though, that when pressed about the judge, you mentioned the federal judge saying that the State Department can't wait until January to release emails that she's turned over, thousands of them. Here's what Secretary Clinton said. Listen.
I want those emails out. Nobody has a bigger interest in getting them released than I do. I respect the State Department. They have their process that they do for everybody, not just for me. But anything that they might do to expedite that process, I heartily support. You know, I want the American people to learn as much as we can about the work that I did with our diplomats and our development experts, because I think it will show how hard we worked and what we did for our country during the time that I was Secretary of State, where I worked extremely hard on behalf of our values and our interests and our security, and the emails are part of that. So I have said publicly, I'm repeating it here in front of all of you today, I want them out as soon as they can get out.
But will you demand it? Will you demand it?
Well, they're not mine. They belong to the State Department. So the State Department has to go through its process, but as much as they can expedite that process, that's what I'm asking them to do. Please move as quickly as they possibly can to get them out.
So she's right that they're in the custody of the State Department now, but when she says it's up to them to release them on the timetable, remember, these were emails that were originally on Hillary Clinton's private email server. So if she wanted them out, one would presume she could have released them a long time ago. We are here now, though, this federal judge basically saying the State Department, as soon as next week, has to start giving a timetable for when the emails can come out. Bottom line, when Hillary Clinton says nobody has it more at stake at me, she's talking about her reputation, obviously, and now she believes the emails will show she did a good job as Secretary of State. But let's not also forget what she has at stake. If these emails come out, as the State Department says, in January of 2016, that's right before the Iowa caucus is here, she may not want them coming out on that political timetable, Jenna.
There's a lot to get to today, Ed. I mean, these emails are certainly important, the timing of it, the fact that she's in Iowa today, the fact that she hasn't taken any questions in nearly a month. Then you have this other story in the New York Times about a family ally that she's emailing back and forth with that raises a lot of questions about who was advising her and others when she was at the State Department. Do you think that we're going to wait another month now before she comments again publicly or has these sort of impromptu news conferences? Or do you think there's going to be a change here just because of the sheer volume of stories?
It's really hard to tell. I mean, her approach, and I've been out with her on the trail from day one of this campaign here in Iowa and in New Hampshire and elsewhere. Now we're here. She's going to not just South Carolina next week, as we already knew, but Florida, then on to Texas, Missouri in the weeks ahead. So she's going to be doing a lot of campaigning. She's trying to do these roundtable events where she ducks our questions, and that has been her way for at least a month now, as you suggest. However, when you have David Axelrod, for example, a very prominent Democratic strategist close to President Obama, saying this past weekend she should be doing more of this to not just defend herself, but to try to drive the message instead of playing this defense. Maybe she's listening to that now, Jenna.
And based on your reporting, Ed, it seems that some of the people that are attending her events are actually catching on and asking some questions that reporters have. You mentioned somebody had a question about a trade deal, which probably is pretty surprising, but perhaps you'll get more questions like that from, you know, the average citizen.
Yes, one of her supporters here asked her, where are you on the Trans-Pacific Partnership? That trade deal, which she has basically waffled on, has not taken a firm position. Supported it as Secretary of State, now saying, well, I want to see more details. So yes, a supporter asked her that. That's interesting. But then her answer basically was, at one point, Secretary Clinton said, I've previously supported trade agreements and I've opposed trade agreements in the past. So she's worked both sides of these trade deals, didn't give us anything new about where she stands now, which is what not just Republicans want to know, but some of her Democratic supporters are asking for. Elizabeth Warren from the left is saying, take a stand. Bernie Sanders in this presidential race is saying, stop being on the fence. So she still has not taken a position, Jenna.
It's very interesting. All right, Ed, big news out of Iowa. We'll see what happens in the next several hours. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.